Classes in session.
Hey guys, welcome to Unlearn 16 Classes in Session. This is Stu. He's back. If you saw part one just a week ago, please go back, see part one, because we had a great discussion. But today, we're going to talk all things Buffy because we
Can't wait.
realized as we sat down, that's our passion.
Yes.
Stu,
I was a
welcome.
huge Buffy fan. I still am. I had all of the books. I had everything. I read the novels. Remember the novels? Remember when they came out?
Never read a novel.
Let me
I remember the
tell you.
comics.
Okay, so there was comics, but before that, when the show was still on, they released these from the writers, David Fury and Marty Noxon would write these little novels, asides to the show that were other storylines. You need to buy it. Child of Chaos was my favorite.
I'm going to go
book.
buy them all.
You
never
should.
knew.
Yeah, they're young adult novels having the characters in them, and it kind of expands the world a little bit. But I also had the Watcher's Guides. Remember the Watcher's Guides where you'd buy them, and they were secrets on the show. I had posters everywhere. I had these books. I could quote all of the TV all of the episodes, down to the point where I knew the episode names, and people would quote the show to me, and I'd be like, "You said it wrong."
Okay, I'm gonna need to know. We have a lot to talk about. Just so everybody knows, we're gonna talk about the show. We're gonna talk about some characters. We're gonna talk about the best episodes. I'm gonna talk about all my Comic-Cons where I've met pretty much all of them, and we're gonna go through the whole thing. But before we start, I need to know your favorite quote.
Okay, my favorite quote is "Death is your gift."
I've done that TikTok.
My other favorite quote is "The hardest thing to do in this world is to live in it."
You're such a sentimental.
I am. I also love there's one last quote between Willow and Buffy when they're arguing at the end of an episode of Bad Seed. Remember she says "Quitter, bad seed," which that interaction at Dead Man's Party is one of my favorite interactions because it's just I don't think it was scripted. And I think it was just them ad-libbing, but I just love,
I'm going to go with my favorite is "Pieces, we get the pieces, our job sucks." And that can be applied to so many people's lives that I just feel it's we're going to need a bigger boat of Jaws. I feel it's just, Slayer's every one of us. I mean, that has, "Don't taunt the fear demon" is a big one of mine.
It's in poor taste.
You're going to hurt me? No, it's just in bad taste. Whatever he says.
Or when he calls the computer, he's like, "That dread machine."
I love it. So you have a favorite episode. So just for everybody that's listening, if you haven't seen Buffy, for the love of all that's holy, 7 seasons of pure joy await you somewhere. Go find it. Mm-hmm. Favorite episode?
Oh, I have 2. I'm not going to be able to choose just one. 2. I have 2. Okay. So I love Halloween, season 2. Halloween. And I love Witch in season 1.
Oh, really? I've never heard anybody pick anything from season 1.
Really? No, I love it. You know why? Because it's the first time they expanded the universe to fit the supernatural, witches and stuff like that. Yeah. And it was so interesting because it was told through a story of the the rivalry between a mother and daughter, the mother wanting to remain young. And it was so interesting.
Every Cinderella, Snow White story that's ever been written. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just I love Amy. I loved Amy. Amy was a character that I wish they had kept on a lot more.
Probably more than that single episode. I like it when Oz passes the statue, after, I don't know how many seasons later, and he's like, "It's her eyes just keep
Yes.
I love that.
And I also love Hush. Hush is also a big favorite of mine as well.
Hush is amazing.
Yeah.
Hush is absolutely amazing. I would probably, everybody says The Body. Everybody says that, but I don't. I love Hush. I love Fear itself. We were just talking about.
Yeah.
I love that because I draw on episodes I think sort of have a bigger arc to them where I'm like, well, cool. Because I'll take episodes. I have created generations of Buffy fans through 4. People worry about me indoctrinating people to be, all those Floridians are like, "Joanna's making people gay." Guys, no, I'm not. I'll tell you what I am indoctrinating though. All of my students will watch Buffy.
Yes.
And if they don't want to, I'll make them do an assignment to watch it. So you want to be fearful of something, go ahead and be fearful of that. That's way more important than being gay.
They should write you a check to make
They
sure, like,
should.
they
Every
should.
time I meet somebody, I say, just so you know, I make my class watch episodes of Buffy all the
Yeah.
time.
Your
All the
royalties are
time.
because of me.
It's so funny because when I try to get people now to watch it who never watched it as a kid, they're like, Joe, it's not going to hold up. I'm like, yes, it is. For number one, it will. The special effects actually still hold up.
Yeah.
But number two, I tell them, look, you're going to have to watch all 16 episodes of season one. It's going to be dark.
Yeah.
They're going to be one-offs, and you're just going to have to get through it. But if you get through season two and you're not fully committed to seeing what happened, then you're right. It's not for you, and we have to stop being friends.
Like, we're gonna, like, thank you so much for your time and investment into this relationship, but I'm saying no.
The worst part is, you want to know the worst parts too? Anna hates it. Anna's watched all 7 seasons.
Hmm.
It's so hard. I just feel like there's some childhood trauma we need to work on her, maybe in some sort of therapy so she can
Yeah.
open up her heart. And maybe that's, that's my job. I don't
That's it.
know.
I listen.
Yeah.
If she had just said she didn't like season 7, I'd be like, you know what? I get it.
I love season 7. I will say this. I remember a very long time ago, I taught grade 6, and they knew I loved Buffy. So at lunch and after school, they'd come in on the weekends. We did marathons, and they'd watch Buffy with me. And we'd get to the end of the year, and we were maybe season 3, let's say. We get to the end of the year, and all the parents were like, Joanna, I have to go out and buy Buffy now. It was like pre anything else. And I said, that's amazing. And then I had a wave of panic because I'm like, they're in grade 6. And when they get to season 6, if their parents hadn't already seen it, I have some explaining to do.
Right.
Like, just so you guys know. And so I had to make that call to all of the parents and say, listen, season 6 gets a little dodgy. There's some sex scenes. I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, I'm just telling you in advance.
Yeah.
Which I think is also funny because of all the killing. I'm most worried about what Buffy and Spike having sex in that house.
That was because it was, we all should be so lucky to have amazing sex that we bring down a house. Like, that should be like, just violently destroy a house. Like, thank you so much. That I would become celibate after that. I'd be like, you know what? I had it. I can't go any higher than this. And that's the chapter closed. And that I'm joining a monastery.
So, have you ever met any of the Buffy people?
No, I haven't. But
you haven't met anybody?
I haven't met anybody. But Sarah Michelle Gellar once tweeted me back. And that was the beginning and end of my Twitter career. I was like, well, I've made it, and now I can't get any higher than this.
No, you can't.
And it was because I tweeted at her a picture of that outfit she wore, the overalls and black shirt that she wore at the end of season 2 as she was getting on the bus to leave.
Yep.
And I said, this was my entire aesthetic for this year of my life.
She was very gay in that moment.
Very gay. I had that whole outfit. I wore it more than I'm comfortable telling you. And I was like, this is my aesthetic. And she was like, it was certainly a vibe. And I was like,
that's it.
I'm done. Delete Twitter.
Like George Costanza, I'm leaving the room. Exactly. We're leaving on a high.
I told everyone, people that didn't know who she was, people who didn't know who I was. I think I told a person at Dominion, the grocery store, I was like, Sarah Michelle Gellar tweeted me back. Look, she said it was a vibe. And they're like, do you want to pay debit or cash? I'm like, I don't even want these things anymore. I don't need them. I'm a higher being.
I don't need to live on food.
Exactly. I'm living on this.
So just so everybody knows, like, I mean, I know that people who are still listening to us already love Buffy. Buffy had a rough go of it. Like, yes. And I didn't watch Buffy right away. So when it aired, I thought Buffy the Vampire Slayer, first of all, the movie had ruined it.
Oh,
Josh Whedon had sold the movie, and instead of directing it, he sold the movie, and it was just the worst thing I've ever seen. Rest in peace, Dylan McKay. I love you to death, but that was a poor choice. Christy Swanson, whatever. They cast Pee Wee Herman. Like, there were so many wrong things, but it really did. And he said he was never going to do the TV show because he couldn't come out from under that cloud, right?
No, but Joss Whedon, he did. Thank God he did, but...
Well, he has his own problems. Look, we're going to talk about Buffy without talking about the crap that is Josh Whedon, because I just want to talk about the power of the show, and hopefully he never gets another job again. That's what I hope. Um,
Um, I will
those
say
are
though, to your point, when I first started watching it, I was in grade 7, I want to say, and I thought it was Fear Street. I thought it was the cheerleader series. Do you remember the Fear Street books that from R.L. Stein? I thought, okay, well, you know what? I'm dating
we
myself
got
here.
10. I told you I am 10 years. I don't even know how much more I'm your senior, right? I would have been in university for crying out loud.
True, true. So I bought my parents. We went to the cottage every year, and we parents bought me this trilogy called the Cheerleader series. And the first episode I ever watched was Witch, about the cheerleaders. And I turned with all
Oh,
the confidence of my 13-year-old self to my sister who was 8. And I was like, this is Fear Street. They've made a TV show about it, and you're much too young for this. And then made her leave the room only to realize that it was not the books that I read.
it was Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
It was Buffy the Vampire
I
Slayer, and thank God.
I don't know. So I think I want to know when I started watching. I think maybe at least 2 seasons in, and my
Okay.
uncle finally said, "Joanna, you have to watch it. Trust me, it's good." I'm like, Buffy is good,
Yeah.
really. And I bought it on VHS because I'm that old. And I bought the first season, and then I started watching it, and I was hooked. And the funny part
Yeah.
was, it got bounced from network to network to network to network.
Oh yeah.
And every time it got bounced and people thought it was going to be shut off, you'd have this wave of cult like status support
Yeah.
that would bring it to a new network, right?
Hmm. Well, because it
Why do
went
you
to the
think that was?
WB, and then it was like the WB was turning into the CW, the CW, UPN,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then UPN turned into, well,
Fox,
it
I
ended
think.
on,
It was on
was
Fox at some point.
it was on Fox for some point, and then it was like it never made it to the CW because that, I think it died on UPN. It like got canceled on UPN, but I just remember them like they remember the 5th season, they like Buffy died and they were like, good resolution. Joss Whedon was like so persnickety about it. He was like, that's it, like over. And then season 6 it came back, and thankfully it was, I think that was the best season.
Yeah,
But I mean season 7, I think what happened, and this is like my own personal feeling, take it for what it is I think that after season 6 ended, it was such a heavy season that
yeah.
they kind of like, this pendulum had swung so far to one side that in
It
season
needed.
7, it was a culture shock to come back and the pendulum be so far over and Buffy be a guidance counselor. And I was like, girl, how? Girl, how are you a guidance counselor? What are you bringing to these children?
We went through a lot of her demons. Didn't you see her in the fight in the whatever with Dawn? That was all
Exactly.
metaphoric.
Exactly. That was her degree.
That was metaphoric.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, the thing about, well, you needed a season 7 after season 6. Come on
You
now.
needed
But
one,
season
yeah.
5, the whole jumping off that thing. Uh, well, let's talk about the real, because you were around. You would have been around in a time where you watched Dawn come onto the show, and then you had to wait weeks. Do you
Yeah.
remember
Oh
that
God,
moment?
yeah, I do. I do.
Because nobody gets that anymore because we watch everything in chunks, right? But I
Yeah.
even think it was at May Sweeps, like it was somewhere
Yeah.
where it wasn't just the next week. We had to wait an exceptionally long period of time,
Hmm.
and Dawn comes on the show, and all you hear at the end is, "Buffy, take your sister," and you're the whole world simultaneously went, "Sister," and
Yeah,
then
they're
the
saying,
damn thing was
Mom.
off for weeks.
Yeah.
I
Also,
couldn't.
were you at that, first of all, no one understands the struggle of having to wait weeks, but also like,
Nobody understands it.
or like even a week, like something would happen and you'd be like, well, I guess I'm going to wait another week for it. And like if you were grounded, well, you had to wait longer.
Listen,
Like,
guys, if you didn't catch it on Tuesday at 8 or
no,
whatever time, I can't remember it was on, you're screwed because
you're screwed.
unless you set your VCR,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to wait to the end of the season to buy it.
Oh, exactly. Like you, and everyone's talking about it. It was like the water cooler show, for like for everybody. But anyway, but like, what were your thoughts on Dawn? I have to know.
I
Ugh.
hate I hated it. I hated it.
I hated it too.
I
You know
hated
why?
all of it.
I hated it everything. And
I
at the
hated
end
it
of
from
it,
the minute, the whole time.
yeah, like she came on, and I was like, Oh, and the weird part is because like they gave her so much screen time, and it
Yeah.
was like they dedicated an entire episode to her. The next episode was her episode of like everything going in her head, and I just remember thinking like, oh, I don't care. I don't
Yeah.
know
No,
who this character is. I have
I
no
was so
investment in this
angry.
character. Oh
I
yeah,
was so, it took them a while. Not only did we have it, the way that the story went, it took them, not only was it off the, like, we didn't come back week after and have another episode, but they
yeah.
didn't even explain it. Like,
No,
I think you had to wait 2 or 3 episodes for them to even address the fact that all of a sudden
address.
after 5 seasons, she had a sister.
Yeah,
Here's why I think it happened though. I think it's very archetypal. I think they knew Joyce was going to die. They knew the mom was going to
yeah.
die because the mom has to die because every kid's parent has to die before they can become a full person or hero or whatever the hell. And screw you, Disney, for doing that to all of us. Um, but I think she still needed a familial tie. She
Yes,
still needed
yeah,
family to make her human, something bigger than herself. Otherwise, I think the idea of that, even though her friends would have been there, the idea of that power and that responsibility, I think as a character just deadens you. Whereas you start to see her kind of as a mother, even
yeah.
though, it's her sister. But I think that was
Mhm.
done um, intentionally for that reason. I know a couple people that love Dawn. I met
Those
Dawn.
people are wrong. Those people in your life should be
I met
have a
Dawn.
scar tattoo. How is
It
she?
was kind of interesting. I mean, although Dawn has been through, I don't want to badmouth anyone. She's been through
No,
a
no,
lot,
not
right?
again.
She's
No.
had all these back surgeries and stuff. I don't
Yeah,
think she should have been at Comic-Con. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to guess that she was still in a lot of pain. She
yeah.
was probably, I'm also guessing, on some meds.
Hmm.
Um, because when I go to Comic-Con, and we can talk about that. Have you ever been to
Yeah.
Comic-Con?
I've never been. I'm being invited, but I don't like large crowds of people. They make me
So,
nervous.
listen, dial it up. We're going to go in August.
We'll go.
So whatever you
Okay,
got to
perfect.
do to prepare,
Just
I, I'm going to
yeah,
do
we'll go.
TikToks dedicated just to that. So somebody from that Comic Con says, "Sure, Joanna, come back and meet the people behind." So I'm going to have all
Yeah,
TikToks dedicated to Comic Con from
I
June
love it.
on.
Okay,
But
I
Comic
will
Con's
chew some Xanax until then.
I love it so much. But
Yeah.
here's the thing about Comic Con, and I feel bad for the actors and actresses because here's the reality: as an actor and actress, this is why I think they suffer a lot,
Hmm.
unless you become like Meryl Streep, right? When
Right.
you become famous for Buffy, guys, that's your card, right? I
Hmm.
mean, other characters, look, Willow went on and did many other things. It's not that she didn't, but like when you become famous
Yep.
for Buffy and you go to Comic-Con and you have 300 people lined up to spend $100 just to talk to you for 5 seconds,
Right.
guys, you have to play to your crowd just a little bit. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yes.
Just a little bit, because that's why they're there. They're not really there for David Boreanaz, even though he never shows up. P.S. He doesn't talk about Buffy. I'll never talk to David Boreanaz, and I'll say that right now, just like this. Somebody plucked him off the street, gave
Off
him
the
a
street.
career.
Yes.
Clearly, they did. They said, "Look at how pretty he is. He got a job."
Yeah.
And he says, "Buffy, I'm not talking about it anymore. I have other project." Listen, Bones, you can't possibly compare Navy SEALs or whatever the hell that is to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Stop it
No,
right
that's
there.
what everyone knows you from.
I
If they
can't.
want to talk to you about Buffy, you should talk about Buffy.
You
Give
won't
the
talk to
people.
Buffy about Buffy to any
Mm,
fans ever.
no. I think that's, I honestly, I really hate that. Like, if someone is coming up to you, and I'm not an actor, but if someone comes up to you and says, hey, I loved this character. This character that you played spoke to me. This
Yeah.
character was impactful, influential to me. I feel like you owe that person the ability to be like, thank you. It was a great experience. And like, even if you hated every moment of it, you can still be like, you know what? I don't want to
Yes.
take away from what you felt. Thank you
Well,
for giving me the opportunity to have more career roles.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
But like, I don't want this to come across as like I dislike like Michelle Trachtenberg. I just like dislike the character of Dawn. I think Dawn was a
I'm
terribly
just
formulated
saying,
character.
Michelle and I didn't have the nicest of it. I'll tell you
Oh,
another interaction. Right at
that
the very
sucks though.
beginning of Comic-Con, right at the very beginning when I started to go, because heaven help me, I wish I went younger because I didn't really know about them because they were kind of new, but like I didn't know
Right.
about them, and I sure as hell wasn't willing to travel for them. But like everybody used to go, right? Like Sarah Michelle
Mhm.
Gellar, and they used to go back in the day when Buffy was on to Comic Cons. I just wasn't aware of it.
Right.
I'll tell you, you like not Charisma Carpenter. You like Jenny Calendar, right?
Oh, I love her.
Oh, wait to hear this story.
Is it Robbie Lamore? That's her name?
I don't remember.
Oh,
She was my first Comic Con person, and it was by accident. I didn't know she was going to be there. My uncle wanted to go for some Star Trek thing, and I went with him, and I'm like, oh, it's Jenny Calendar. And so I went up to get an autograph. And what does her autograph say? I can't remember right now. But I always get them to do a quote or whatever. But here's the
yeah.
funny part about Jenny Calendar. I said, "You're amazing, fantastic. I love Buffy. Your death scene was bang on. Sorry about that, but it was a great death scene." And she talked to me a little bit, and then she said, "Well, right now I have these CDs where I sing gospel albums and songs for my whatever kind of church." And I went, "What? Are you at Comic Con signing Buffy things, thinking this is your odd, honey? What are we doing
No.
here, love?" And I'm like,
Abby, no.
"No, thank you. I don't want any." What I wanted to say, probably today, I would be like, "Are you religious because of Buffy now? You think you need that in your life? Is it
Yeah.
just in case? Is it
Oh,
a
but
just in case thing?"
yeah, just in cases.
It was weird. It was
Um,
weird.
I will say, like, as a fledgling gay, her outfit in that episode when she died, it was all about it. Like, give me a see-through gossamer top, like, and a like, please
Snap of the neck.
snap the neck. Like,
Oh my God.
no, I
Bad
loved her
Angel.
character.
Listen, Bad Angel beats Nice Angel 7 days a
And
week and 24.
jealous.
And
Yeah,
Jealous is brilliant.
I love
Brilliant.
perfection.
I'll tell you another sad story. I walk into Silver Snail. Have you ever been to Silver Snail in Toronto? Back in the day? It's a
Yes,
comic book store on Queen. It's not
yes,
there
yes.
anymore. I walk in and guess who's there signing comics? But
Drusilla.
Drusilla.
Oh, I love her.
Here's the problem. Wait for it. So
Oh,
I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to go get something signed. So I go buy something of Buffy so she can sign it, whatever.
yeah.
And I'm waiting in line. I'm so hard on people. I really am. Listen,
No,
what's her name? Juliet.
Juliet Landau.
Juliet Landau, if you're listening to me, I apologize. It's just my own head about what I thought she was supposed to be. And I
Yes.
apologize because you're an actress. You're not there to fulfill my Drusilla fantasies.
Right.
But oh, honey, she was wearing like a pencil skirt and like a sweater set. I think it was mauve. And I'm
No.
kind of looking down the line. I'm like, what? Oh, that's not Drusilla. And then so I
No.
get up there and she's very sweet, very lovely, whatever. But I'm stupid at this point. I don't realize, first of all, at this point she's on Angel. And I don't realize she's written a bunch of Angel. Like she was actually a
Yeah.
writer and a producer on that
Mhm.
show, but I had no idea. All I cared about was Buffy, and I liked Angel, but nowhere close to the same that I like Buffy. And she's asked me at some point, "What's your favorite episode? Do you like Angel or Buffy better?" And I was like, I went off about Buffy, right? And then I left and I finally realized my uncle's like, "You do know that she writes a bunch of those episodes." I'm like, oh, God damn it.
You just go back. You're like, hi. Whoops.
Listen, but
Um,
the sweater set, if
the
I was
sweater
Drusilla,
set.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Juliet, she should have sat there, been in her sweater set every once in a while, looked up at the ceiling and said, "Look, all the stars are fighting with one another." Just once in a while.
Exactly. Something.
Just throw us a bone, please.
No, I also I was really kind of horrified when I saw her interviewed that she was not British. Not that her British
Listen,
accent was like exceptional, but like when you're like imprinted upon the fact that they are this person, that you're like, I just imagine she walks through life. Spike. Like I just imagine. Like she talks very slowly, methodically, almost be in my eyes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Be in my
Be in me,
um
Danny. Like I
um
just imagine that's who it
oh,
was. I was like,
Kendra,
she
she's had a minute.
clearly. Oh, Bianca Lawson, the girl who does not age? Okay, let's talk about her. Like, talk about I sold my soul for youth eternally. she's like playing 17 in 1997 and she's playing 17 in 2015. What?
That's her superpower.
Like literally
Listen,
in
you know,
2015, they were like, "Sir, please get to the 65 and older line." Like, and she's off here playing a 17-year-old in Pretty Little Liars. I literally had a moment where I was watching being like, is that Kendra? Surely it can't be Kendra because she played a teenager 10 years ago. No, this can't be her. And then I was like,
yeah,
oh, it is her. She's totally playing a conceivable like 17-year-old girl.
year-old.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool
I
she
got the
stayed
same
inspired.
vibe when I met Spike.
Right.
So everybody who's ever met Spike or knows, like Spike's also played other characters.
Yeah.
And when I met James Marsden, I always say his last name,
Marsters. Marsters.
Marsters.
Yeah.
Um,
I was so
when I met
confused.
him, I've met him a few times, and my first conversation, and he wasn't British, and I went, I wish I sometimes have myself on video because I feel like I met him and I said, "You're amazing, I love it," and then he came back with the American accent. I feel like I did this.
It feels uncomfy.
That's not nice. You're from where? Wyoming? Listen, let's think about it. Anybody
Where are you
watch the
from?
last episode, you'll get
Wyoming.
that.
It's like actually Massachusetts. You're like Wyoming. It feels Wyoming.
It does.
Yeah.
He has a weird, hard American accent. I can't quite figure out
It's
where he's from.
no, it's true. He
Um,
was interviewed on that podcast that the guy from Michael Rosenbaum from
I love.
Smallville does.
I'm going to talk about meeting him. I love him to death.
He
Love him to
seems
death.
really, really cool.
He is very
But I have to know, and you have to tell me, have you met either Christine Sutherland, who played Joyce, or Anthony Head as
cool.
Rupert
Anthony
Giles?
Head.
Okay,
Christine
talk about this.
Sutherland. Anthony Head was lovely. Let me tell you how I met Anthony Head. This is how insane I am. So I've met a lot of Buffy people. Now, normally I'm in Toronto, so I go to Toronto Comic Cons. I'll drive to Niagara, maybe London. Okay.
Right,
So two and a
right.
half hours away. Now, at some point, I got insane and I started driving to there's a great Comic Con in like just outside of Detroit called Nova. I've driven to Rhode Island. There's a great Comic Con in Philadelphia. So I've driven to all those places for Comic Cons because I'm crazy.
Hmm.
But
But a
one time,
comfortable crazy. 2 hours is a comfortable crazy.
yeah, but Portland, I mean, all those Comic Cons in when I'm saying I'm driving to Nova, that's 4.5 hours.
Okay, so that's a little bit like
8 hours to Philadelphia. No,
okay.
not even
Well,
comfortable. Rhode Island, no, not comfortable. I'm insane.
no,
But here's where
we've
it gets
gone full
worse.
crazy.
My last Comic Con, right before all this crap went down, pretty close. I look at Portland Comic Con. They had at the same Comic Con Anthony Head. They had Wesley, whatever his real name is, Allison
Oh,
Hannigan, Tara, Kennedy,
okay,
all at the same
okay.
Comic Con. And I'm like, I have to go. Not only do I have to go, I'm going to have to miss a day of work.
Yeah,
So I had to go into my vice principal and say, listen, I don't ask for time off, really, ever. I'm never
right.
sick. I could just call in sick, but here's the deal. And she's like, okay, Joanna, but don't tell anybody we gave you the day off to go to Comic Con. I said, fine. So I flew there, meet these people. Amber Benson. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I flew there. Anthony Head was lovely, absolutely lovely. Everything about him is just, and again, I'm very gay, but oddly sexy for an older British man.
I don't know, when he sings, I swoon.
I kind of love him. You just sort of want to hang
Yeah,
out. He loved the fact that I forced my kids to watch Buffy. He thought that was the best thing ever. It was a great abuse
yeah.
of power. But here's my favorite thing. So I go up and sitting in front of me, I have Wesley to the right of me.
Yeah.
I'm lined up for Willow. To the left of Willow is Amber Benson, is Tara. And then to the
Mhm.
left of Tara is Kennedy. So just think about that picture for a second. She's made out with all those people, right?
Yeah.
So I'm waiting to get close to Willow, and I'm trying in my head, because I'm such a huge nerd, to think about what am I going to say to Willow when I meet, and I'm nervous and I'm sweating and whatever. And I get up there, and she's Willow. You can tell that Allison Hannigan is just a great charismatic actress and people person, because she
Right.
knows we're all uncomfortable because we're starstruck, and she immediately makes everything easier, and she breaks the ice, and she talks about you rather than you talk about her. She's just awesome like that. But at some point I get kind of comfortable and I lean in. I go, okay, I have a question for you. So you've kissed all these people. I want to know who's best. So gay chicks behind me think it's hysterical. By the way, I'm completely on my own. Like, nobody came with me. I'm by myself. There's a gay community behind me that thinks it's the best question that I've ever asked. And she very loudly says, oh, come on, hun. Obviously, it's my husband, because she's married to the guy, right? She's
Yeah.
married to Wes
Right.
in real life. My husband isn't. And she makes this big thing, and he's laughing beside her. And then doesn't this amazing, lovely woman lean in and go, I'm lying. It was totally Kennedy. She has a tongue ring. And I'm like, see, that's playing to your market right there.
Right.
That's
Yes.
recognizing who's standing in line for you, why we're standing here. You just
Uh,
played, and she was lovely.
I have a confession to make. I could never get over Amber Benson, like Tara dying. So like when Kennedy came in, I was like, man, I don't care about you. Don't want you. Don't need you. No one asked for you. I mean, don't lick Willow's neck, you hussy.
Whereas all the gay girls are like, because
Yeah.
let's be honest, I mean, she ain't ugly. And so,
No.
and she was super forward. And it was like,
Yeah.
Amber and Tara, because it was their first relationship, are all like hesitant and
Yeah.
whatever. And
Pure romance.
that's good, and I get it. But Kennedy's ballsiness was really a breath of fresh air as well,
No,
right?
it's true. Like now you're watching it, I can appreciate it. But then I remember how much I was like, how dare she? Why isn't she an Italian widow wearing only black lace?
Listen,
Walking
she
through her
tried to
life.
pull the world, Stu. What more
I
do you
know.
want out of her?
I also did you also hear that whole thing about remember Conversations with Dead People, where the first
Yes.
evil came and taunted Willow in the library? So
Yes.
apparently that was supposed to be Tara initially,
And she wouldn't
and
come back.
she wouldn't come back for it. She was like, I feel like it's too painful for them. And then I found out something more recently where like the end of it was supposed to be like the whatever Destiny or whatever came to Buffy and gave her one gift to like thank her for saving the world, and she gave Willow the gift of Tara back, but that didn't happen because the schedules didn't align, and I was like gutted, and it didn't even. It was 10 years later. Like,
I don't think that was real though. I bet you all those things were in the works. But Amber Benson hated Josh Whedon.
Yes, she hated Joss Whedon, and she hated him.
Yeah,
but like,
that's why it didn't happen. I don't think she was going to come back. Amber Benson, speaking to her, is one of the most intelligent people. She's a writer. She's a great writer right now. She has books out. She is an incredibly witty, intelligent woman that I didn't know anything about her before Buffy, not really much after, but yeah, she really blew me away. When I took my picture with Tara and Willow, because I have pictures with everybody, I had a broken yellow crayon in my hand. I come with props, Stu.
Right. No, you have to.
I have to. I gave Gloria a key. I gave Gloria a key. I thought that was important. I know you and Claire, you think, I loved Gloria. I loved it.
I just, listen, it has nothing to do with Claire Kramer. I'm sure she's a lovely person. I think it's like, again, this is like what we were talking about earlier off camera, where it's like you are look back on it where you're watching it again through a different lens, and you have like other similar characters that you see, and you're like, why can't they be more like that? This is something that I think would have fit a little bit better. Like, for example, for me, I think the character of, do you watch Vampire Diaries at all?
Anna made me watch it because I made her watch Buffy.
Do you like it? Do you see similarities there?
Well, sure. Everybody ripped on Buffy, and that's where my love stops. I love Damon, but I think everybody just loves Damon. And
I love Catherine Pierce. I was obsessed with Catherine. So like
Stop it. Oh yeah, Catherine. Yeah, not what's it?
Elena, dry as dishwater, can't do her.
Yes.
No.
100%. Bring on Catherine, yes.
Catherine's all I wanted. But like I think Catherine would have, like, that kind of personality, that kind of like level of what I wanted for Glory. That like
Oh, okay.
amusement in the evil. That's what
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wanted.
yeah.
Her like reveling in the fact that she was just this toxic character, but I also love the fact that in Vampire Diaries they gave Catherine a little bit more to chew on. Like she
Yeah,
was a little bit more of a whole person, and I think I wanted that with Glory as well. I think Glory felt to me sometimes a little bit more of a comic, very
100%.
yeah.
Yep.
And I think that's something that later on, at the time, I was like all about this. I was like, oh my god, she's a god. And then after like jaded me, watched it again, and was like, oh okay.
Um, I met the master. I can't remember his name right.
Oh my god, how was he?
Just the best thing you've ever met in your entire life. And that man would sit down and dish Buffy for hours.
Oh, I loved him
Hours.
so much.
The maestro, well, he's from the maestro from Seinfeld, right? He is amazing. So, what's his real name?
Mark Metcalf.
He was amazing. Absolutely. If you're going to line up for him, I'm telling you right now, he'll have stories for days and days and days and days. And he is funny. He is, I would love to talk to him now after, because I've met most of these people pre the whole Josh Whedon
Yeah.
kerfuffle. But I'd love to talk to
So,
him now because I promise you he'd have stuff to say.
what is your favorite episode?
I'm gonna go with it's so hard to pick, and I
It is.
always want to go to the last episode because I love it so much. But um, Angel Turning is probably one of my favorites because again, I love the symbolism. So I love the
Mhm.
love you too. I love the girl sleeps with the guy turns into an asshole. I
Yep.
love stretching that out to be what that was.
Yes.
Um, like I like the whole storyline, but I like that because nobody, who the hell saw that coming? Nobody saw that coming.
Nobody.
I love that. I love the judge is probably one of. That's why I have that tattoo. I love the judge. What are you gonna do with that? Um, I love that, and I liked Fear itself.
For yourself was great. Do you want to hear a really sad? I'm going to admit this to you, and I have never admitted this before. Do you
What's the
know
second?
the angel curse?
Yes,
I have it memorized in
as you
my
should.
head.
As you
Uh,
should.
yeah, I have the whole
Hold
thing.
on,
Like,
stay right there.
oh my god, do you have it? Do you have the Orb of Thesla? Please tell me you do.
Anybody
We
who's
cast
listening, just so we know, if you're not watching, I'm holding in my hand an authentic
Orb of
shoddy
Thesla.
craftsmanship, gypsy shoddy craftsmanship orb of Thessala.
Yeah. Do
I
I just
bought
do
it.
the spell for you right now?
Sure, I think you should.
Nisi morta nisi flente, spirits
In
mutati
Latin!
vivamente, lassi orbita se fe. Yeah. Yeah, I know the whole thing. It's so sad. Did it glow? Like, come on.
It did a little bit. A little bit.
Good. Okay, awesome.
I wonder whose soul I have in there. Um,
Seriously. One of my exes, probably.
it's um I love that part. I love the tie to the like I love how Drusilla was tied. The whole thing, like the interweaving of all of the characters and how they come in and out. Okay, I gotta ask. So I've met all of those people. Who else have we Xander, and everybody knows all the problems that Nicholas
Yes.
has gone through. Is one of the I'm telling you right now, if I could have wrapped him up, taken him home, put him in my spare room and made sure he never did anything bad again, I would
Yeah.
have.
Yes.
Because he has a lovely heart. And
Yes.
for whatever reason he's been shattered, but I've met him so many times and all he does, he's like he loves to give hugs, like he's like all he wants to do is he talks about battling depression, he talks about addiction, he talks about all of it.
Yeah.
Um, and he was just lovely. When I spoke to Faith for the first time, I didn't know that Faith had a drug problem that she now
She
openly
did. I
talks
didn't know
about,
that.
apparently really bad. So when
Oh.
I met her, she was in the thick of it. So the
Oh.
conversation I had with her was like, I was looking at her going, my uncle and I were like, is she even looking at us? I don't know. Like she was so out of it,
Right.
And I was talking about the episode, The Switch, when her and Buffy switch. I thought,
Oh, that was a great
one of my
episode.
one of my favorite
Um,
episodes. And I was talking about that episode and she didn't remember. She was like, "Oh yeah, sure." But it was like, I get it. It was a long time ago, but I think the
yeah,
drug, whatever she had taken,
right.
it was probably just then.
God.
But she was lovely. I met Who else did
She
I
met.
meet? Oh, I met Nathan Fillion. Fillion?
Oh yeah,
Nathan
Nathan Fillion. Yeah,
Caleb. He mostly wanted to talk about like
Firefly.
Firefly,
Yeah,
but I don't care.
no one cares about that.
I don't care about Firefly. I know that I'm
Nope.
supposed to care about Firefly, but
I
it's
tried.
nowhere in the same hemisphere as Buffy.
No, and I tried
And
to
I
care.
just,
I really did.
I did. I've tried to watch it 4 times. I
Yeah,
can't. I
I don't
can't.
like it.
Sorry, Nathan. You can't carry
Yeah,
that show, but you could be a very excellent misogynist, and I think you should
exactly.
just win with
Yeah, you think you
that.
should just continue without your life.
Yeah, Spike was amazing. Everybody that I met from those shows.
Have you met Julie Benz?
Yes. You know why I love Julie Benz? First of all, she's very flirty, highly enjoyable, 10 out of 10. She's not gay, but she's still flirty. She's lovely. And because I met her at a Comic Con, now it's a little bit more, you have your person and your handler and whatever.
Right.
It's more formalized. But back then, it really wasn't like that. So when I met her, I'm like very nervous, and I met her and she was very sweet and she's gorgeous. I mean, and by the time I met her, she'd already done Dexter. And so she was amazing and she loved talking about Buffy, and I said, "Oh, how much do I owe you?" She goes, "Oh, honey, I don't deal with the money. That's too much." Because she didn't want to say. She don't want to. What a
Yeah,
nice person where you don't want to say that, just push her off.
yeah,
And then she's like, "What do you want me to sign on it?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know," because I was so nervous. Now I have quotes ready for them.
yeah.
And she looked at me and she goes, "Well, one of my favorites is Bite Me," and then she winked. I could have passed out.
I would have passed out. Do you
You
know?
just winked at me and said, "Bite me." Stop it. Stop it
Okay.
right now.
So I would have passed out because I almost passed out because she follows me on TikTok, and
She's
I
on TikTok.
she's on TikTok, so she actually follows me, and now we're
Oh
mutuals. But I
yeah.
didn't realize that until I was checking out her page one day, and it said the two things, and like follow, and I legitimately had to
I'm
go for a
looking it up
walk. I
right
had to
now.
leave my phone on the bed and like go outside because I had touched grass
Is it
because I
Julie
was
Benz? Is that what
too
is that
bent.
what
Yeah,
it's underneath?
I wonder, but like
Benz,
legitimately
like B and
BENZ.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah,
She's not following me yet. Oh, she'll be following me by the end of the weekend. I'm gonna make a string of TikToks just
exactly.
dedicated to her.
Yeah, see, look, she follows me. It's so weird.
That's
I
it's not weird. That's amazing.
I
Oh man.
legitimately have been trying to pen uh like a message to her being like, I love you. But I don't want to come off as creepy.
The last time she was on TikTok was 2021.
I know. But at somewhere in that journey she followed me and I was like,
100%, but how am I gonna get at her now, Stu?
yeah, I will tell her to follow you. I'll be like send her a message, be like, we love
She
you.
never comes on.
You should. Oh my god, if you wouldn't it be amazing if you got her
Oh
on
my god,
your
yes.
podcast? Just oh my
Listen,
god.
and I told you, Warren follows me on Twitter, who I love, who is the worst villain, like truly
Oh,
the
I
worst,
yeah, never forgiven him.
grossest villain. And I follow him on Twitter, and he recently followed me, and he sent me a message saying that, soon, like whatever he's doing right now, as soon as this comes down, I would love to be on your podcast. So I'm very excited. I'm going to try not to talk about his horrible, Warren character. But he's absolutely amazing. Like he's one of those guys that it's just like, there's Adam Bush, that's his name. He's one of those guys that, again, outside of his character, his tweets are so sarcastic and perfect and funny and poignant and all of those things that I love him so much.
I like
You want
the guy who played Jonathan. Have you met him?
to? No, never.
Because
I don't
he's
think he's been at Comic Cons.
because he's huge now. He wrote a lot of like I think he wrote an Academy Award winning script. Um, he's a,
But he's
he's a
hilarious.
fantastic writer. He is hilarious.
That's probably why he's
Um,
not at Comic Con.
probably, but like
Like,
come
let's
back
be
to
honest.
Comic Con.
You're not a comic,
Yeah.
I'll tell you my scariest moment at
Yes,
Comic
please.
Con. And I didn't know how scary it was until after. So I love Buffy. I go to Comic Cons for Buffy all the time. I do love anybody from my childhood. So I've met a lot of 90210 people because amazing. I've met a lot of uh, anybody from old movies like Nev Campbell. I love, Richard Dreyfuss. I've met uh, just Captain Kirk, who is hilarious. If you can ever meet William Shatner, his ego, if you can fit in the same room with him and his ego, it's hysterical. He's a nonstop battery. Having said that, I go and I'm going to meet people from Smallville. By the way, Michael Rosenbaum, and I am going to try to get him on my podcast. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to try.
You're going to do it.
He
I
is
believe.
hilarious. I have a video of me giving him a massage because he was feeling it. I'm like, don't worry, I got you. And he's kind of bantering. He comes out and I skip the line. I give him a massage. We videotape the whole thing. It's hilarious. I have that video. But nonetheless, he's amazing. And I met Tom Welling and I met Laura Vander, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, and the dad, Lionel Luther, who is also amazing. Having said that, I stood in line for Allison Mack quite a few years ago.
Oh my God.
Wait, it gets so much better. So I stood in line. So at this point, I'm lined up for her, and she has a boatload of people lined up for her. This is before the whole NX, whatever that is, NXIVM. There's a boatload of people lined up for her, and she's super charismatic. And I get to the front of the line, and like I said before, I'm ridiculous. Like I'm not very good with what I'm going to say. And so I usually try to create something. And I got up and she recognized my tattoos on my arm. And she said, oh my God, I love your tattoos. So right away, she pulled my arm and started looking at them. So that's happening. And we're chatting and she asked my name and blah, blah, blah. But she had hundreds of people in that moment. So thousands of people over the weekend, right? So that went well. She signed it. I did my picture, whatever. Then I'm staying at the hotel because I'm this kind of crazy person. We figured out the hotel where people were staying.
Right.
There's that one or two hotels where a lot of people, they'll put people up. So we figured out the hotel and I'm staying there. And in that same hotel, I ate breakfast 10 feet from Data from Star Trek. And all of these people, but I'm so pathetic that I don't go up to anybody. I just Adam West fist bumped me in the hall. I know. Right?
Did you just turn to dust?
He's a class. I have a funny story about Adam West after, actually. Anyways, so I'm standing in there and I'm doing all this stuff and I get up, I'm up, I don't know, it might be at 8 o'clock in the morning and I go downtown and what I do everywhere I go is I try to make friends with everybody. Anybody that works at any establishment, I try to, and not just because I'm going to get something from it, but because I think they have a hard job and the nicer I am, whatever. So I go downstairs and the two ladies at the front desk that are checking people in say hi and whatever. And we're chatting. I go, this is crazy. So many people. And they're like, yeah, so-and-so walked in and we were just chatting. And as I'm standing there, in walks Allison Mack. I guess she went out for a really early walk. Nobody else is around her. And I'm just like, oh my God, it's Allison Mack. Now remember, it's at the end of the next day. So she's seen hundreds, if not thousands of people by this point. Stu, she comes right up to me. She rubs my shoulder and says, Joanna, so nice to see you again. Are you coming back today? It's like, and she kind of held on for a second. And she's like, what are you, I got to go. What are you up to? And there was this moment where I'm like, and I was married at the time, but if I wasn't married, I'm like, oh my God. And then she walked away and the people are like, what was that? We've seen her come in. She's never said hi to anybody. How did she remember my name?
Oh my God.
And then Stu, fast forward 5 years and she's in charge of a sex cult.
Yeah. You almost got this close.
I could have been this close.
Yeah.
If I wasn't married, I would have definitely tried to have more of a conversation.
Right.
And then I would have been in a sex cult.
You would have been in a sex cult.
With Allison Mack.
That's your memoir.
That's it.
Almost sex cult.
Almost sex culted.
Yeah. Almost sex culted. My story with Alex Mack.
Allison Mack.
Allison Mack.
It was crazy. But in retrospect, I reckon, that would have been going on. Right? I didn't know, but all of that would have been going on at that point. Nobody really knew about it. But she had a charisma and the ability, obviously, to how the hell she remembered my name, but she has a charisma that is palpable.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And that's what she would have used, right?
Yeah,
100%.
that's
I could have been
insanity.
taken. I could still be in Nova, Michigan right now.
Right now,
Mexico.
seriously. Oh
It's
my
true.
God. That's a great story. That's a
That was
story you pull
highly.
at dinner parties. Like
Yeah.
two glasses of wine in, and suddenly you're
That
like,
was
let me
highly.
tell you a story about when I was recruited for a sex cult.
It's 100% true, though. 100%
Yeah,
true.
that's crazy. Oh my God.
Um,
What's your worst
do you think?
episode? What's the episode you hate the
Oh,
most?
it's all from season one. Season one's quite
Really?
painful in some degrees, like that puppet thing.
I can't, that episode is gone for me. I remove it from my mind.
It's just
Every time I see it, I'm like, gone.
I'm trying to think of an episode. I never want to see Dawn dance again. But I mean, I
Oh,
like the
never.
musical episode, but the dancing was too much for me.
Yeah. It was like they give you something to do, and I was like, maybe they could have cut it.
She is a dancer, though. That's what
Yeah,
hurt.
I know. And
Especially
they were really trying because she couldn't sing.
neither could knowing Allison Hannigan begging not to sing on that episode is one of my favorites. She's
Yeah,
awful. Like the
awful.
amount of minimal singing she does, they could have
Yeah.
auto-tuned the hell out of it. But I think that might be fully auto-tuned. I think she
Yeah.
just sings like we sing, Um,
Um,
what else is the worst episode?
Aaron Benson has a beautiful voice, though.
Oh, gorgeous.
Gorgeous. And Anthony
Absolutely
Head,
gorgeous.
I found out like I like older men because of that song. Where do we go? And I was like, I'm done.
So nice. It
We're
is so
going. I'm
nice.
going to your house.
What is that? What I'm coming to Europe.
Yeah,
What
that's
is
where I'm
the
going.
worst? It has to be from season one. The rest of them are from season one, probably.
I,
I
I
hated the egg one, where they
that's what I was gonna say. The praying mantis teacher.
the praying mantis teacher. But that's kind of funny because you have to get Xander's character. By the time he says, "Why am I always the one that gets the funny syphilis?" You have to understand that he's been screwed every single season. That's one of my favorite episodes, actually, for the banter, is that Thanksgiving episode. Because it's so funny when he gets syphilis
It
and
is. Oh God.
Buffy and him are like getting, yeah, no, that's a funny episode.
Um. Yeah. No. It's
Cordelia was
honestly.
lovely. Cordelia was also lovely.
I loved Cordelia. My favorite episode with Cordelia. Did you watch Angel? Were you an Angel fan as
Mhm.
well?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It was the episode where she was buying the art set for Angel at the like little like pop up merchant walk at the end of season one, and she's hit with the curse, and she sees all of
Oh,
the pain in the world. That episode, I think she did it so well because it was the first time you were given the ability fully for her to fully like stretch out those acting
yeah,
chops because
yeah,
she
yeah,
was she was so one dimensional for so long.
yeah,
And like if they Joss Whedon would give her like a little bit to work with, and then he'd be like, no,
yeah.
too much. Back.
I wonder if he never, like, I mean, we all know elements of who he was. I wonder if Cordelia, Charisma Carpenter's character, was always standoffish enough
Yeah.
or whatever enough so he couldn't manipulate, so he couldn't control, so he couldn't do those things. But she
Mhm.
wasn't a big enough character where he had to keep her around and had to respect that. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like I'm
Yes.
wondering because the way that everybody talks about it in such a way so that nobody's going to get sued, obviously. But when you really listen to somebody like Amber Benson speak on it, or now Charisma Carpenter, um, you know, you and obviously Michelle, you get it's like they speak about it with enough weight, but not with enough specificity
Yes.
so you
Yes.
really understand what went on there. And then I'm like, but the best way to understand is to watch the Zack Snyder cut versus Josh Whedon's cut of Justice League. I've never seen somebody did a TikTok where they did a side by side. Did you ever see
Mhm.
that?
Yes.
Right? And they called in Wonder Woman, to reshoot a scene where her ass is half the screen.
Right.
That was the
Yeah.
whole reshoot. And
Mhm.
you're like, what are you doing, dude?
Or
And
even when the flash falls on her and goes right into her chest,
yeah,
and she said, "I don't want." It was not even her. She's like, "I refuse to do the scene." She's like,
like and Gal Gadot, what are you doing? Anyways, you wonder how bad it was. Now I do know that he wasn't around a lot, so he was in the beginning and then not and whatever. But
I do
yeah,
have a question for you, actually. So, like,
yes,
knowing what you know now about Joss Whedon, um, and how Marty Noxon, who was his like second in command for, talked so highly of him when she took over the show. Do you think that, because she's been very quiet, she hasn't said anything, I don't think,
or she
about it.
has.
She
Yeah,
has she?
no, no,
Oh
you're
yeah,
right. No,
like
of
she's been
course
very
she's been
quiet.
quiet.
Yeah, she's been very very quiet about it, and I'm wondering, because she didn't last very long in Grey's Anatomy. She lasted for maybe like a little bit of a season, and then she
Mhm.
went off and did the Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce. But I always wondered what, like, I'm wondering what you think about when she took over the Buffy. Did it change for the better or the worse?
What? When did she take over?
She was around season 6. She did season 6 and 7
You
because
mean
he had moved on to Firefly and Angel.
Yeah, I like season 7. I mean, I love season 6, but I do really, really like season 7. So I think it was good. What I find interesting about the whole Josh Whedon thing, and everybody says, why would some people still keep their mouth shut? Because she would have known. My problem is everybody on that set would have known, especially anybody in administration and executive. Anybody in the top ranks would have known.
Hmm.
Um, I think some of the men on set might not have, because they wouldn't have been aware of it and they might not have been there when it happened. And I think you have the ability to kind of not see what doesn't impact you.
Right.
Um, but when we talk about the Me Too campaign and all of the stuff that came down with that, the funny part is we people that still wanted a really big, strong career still didn't talk,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
Angelina Jolie, it never happened to me. Bull crap. You're I don't think like I think we knew the tip of the iceberg, cuz think about the people that were really leading the charge. It was a bunch of actresses nobody's ever heard of. Then you have a Rose McGowan who is done. What she can burn every bridge, it doesn't matter. You have not that Charisma Carpenter is done, but she got burnt by it and it is what it is,
Hmm.
right? Because as soon as, and this is the part that nobody talks about. It's not about it is about Harvey Weinstein. It is about Josh Whedon. It's all about all these people that take advantage. And then it's about the women who can't take a joke, who
Mm.
can't take a comment, who cause problems. And no matter who you are as a director, as a producer, you're steering clear of those women.
Mm.
You just
Hmm.
are. I think you are. I think you made too much of it. I think there's still that mentality. Nobody's talking about that with Harvey Weinstein and what he did and how he did it. But again, think about who really came to the table there. Even was it who was dating Brad Pitt at the time? Gwyneth Paltrow?
And when
The whole Harvey. Don't you remember the
the
thing
Harvey
where Gwyneth
Weinstein?
came out? Said he tried to do it to me and I called Brad and Brad came over
Oh
and kicked
yeah,
his ass and
that
nothing
was
ever
Gwyneth
happened?
Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow. Yeah.
Right. Where's Gwyneth?
True. She's goop.
Where is
Yeah.
she? Nowhere. You know what I'm saying? And she also said nothing happened.
Right.
I just the notion that do I think that everybody was sexually assaulted? Of course not. That's an extreme. But do I think that every woman, God, even to this day, is on the set and has to take that joke, whatever that joke happens to be? I think that's pretty freaking common. Because if we started talking about the jokes and the innuendos and the slaps on the ass, we'd
Yeah.
never shut up.
No,
We'd never
exactly.
shut up,
No,
right?
exactly. 100%. And I
And
think
she
that's the
wanted
most.
her career. She's like, I want my career. I want my career more than I'm willing to call him out. And that's the case of everybody, right?
Yeah. Hmm. It's interesting because you look at her career since leaving Buffy, and she did like a couple of. She co-created that show Point Pleasant, which wasn't a very successful show. She joined Brothers and Sisters, which was huge for ABC. Then she left after 4 months,
I like
dating.
Girlfriend's Guide. Yeah.
I liked Girlfriend's Guide too. I really liked that show, and it was,
I love her, the main
yeah,
character from House.
Lisa Edelstein. I love her
I
so
love her so
much.
much. She's
And
amazing.
then she joined Private Practice and then like left again. Grey's Anatomy, left again, and then she made Mad Men, and she was like able. She said it brought her career to a new level. And then she did Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce, and I love that show. It's always interesting to me to like understand like where she was in that conversation. Because if all these actors and actresses are saying it was a toxic set, and she was the executive producer for 6 and 7, what was she doing to like right that ship? Like, if Amber Benson got to a
I
point
don't
where
think
she
he was
wouldn't even
around
come
for
back.
much. I don't think he was around for much of 6 and 7.
Yeah.
He would have been off at Angel. He would have been off, like, and that's what they talk about in those later seasons. He wasn't around often. And so I don't think, and I think the toxicity, uh, I think it was blatant and also so incredibly subtle. It's the subtleties of everything, of homophobia, of racism, of sexism, of misogyny. It's the subtleties that are just, and this is why we sound like, when the right is just like, oh, you complain about everything, because they don't understand that the subtleties are like a slow moving, forest. It whittles away at you day after day after day, and coming at you from all angles. You got to take this joke, you got to take that joke, you got to be okay with the way they talked about your ass, you got to be okay with this, you got to be okay with that. And after a while, it's like this mountain you're carrying around on your shoulder, and you're like, no. And all of a sudden you say, screw you. And they're like, wow, you're so emotional.
You're so
Wow.
emotional. Oh my God. Take a
It's
joke.
been so, right? It's been so much. And
Yeah.
and I honestly believe, I don't think they could have seen necessarily the forest for the trees when you're in it.
Mhm.
I think that's true of a lot of toxicity in a relationship, on a set. I think when you step out of something so horrific, or even mildly horrific, and you step out and all of a sudden you don't have that anymore, or you're in a healthy relationship or on a healthy set, you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. All of that, and those kids were young, all of that was
Hmm.
horrible.
Yeah.
But I didn't know. It's like I was becoming famous. I had this great opportunity. This was my chance. This was my whatever. I'd never been on a set. Who knows if this is common? And I think once it doesn't feel good, but I don't think you see as clearly until you're not around it.
That
That would
makes
be,
complete sense. 100%. Because you only can see it back in retrospect that what you dealt with was not normal.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's my guess anyways. Um,
Amazing.
oh my God, we've talked for another
Another
hour. Okay,
hour.
wait. Stu, you're going to promise me you're going to come in August. We're going to go to Comic-Con.
Yes, I
We'll
will.
make all the TikToks and try to get like VIP backstage passes. Maybe we'll just set up my podcast from there.
I love
Oh,
that. Let's do it.
I'm all in.
Yeah. I'm going to hold you to that.
Guys, go check out Stu. I'm going to put all of his stuff underneath here again, where you can find him. Go check him out on TikTok. He's amazing. He's lovely. I will see you guys next week. Same bad
Thank you.
time, same bad station. Someday I'm going to get in trouble for copyright.
Thank you so
Bye,
much
Stu.
for this. Bye.
Dismissed.